What's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Dime. Today, we are previewing the 2024-2025 Dallas Mavericks and Orlando Magic. It's the Dallas Mavericks. Drew, I am sorry.
At least the Magic are good now, so it doesn't hurt as bad.
Yeah,
At least
the
we just did the Magic. We just did the Magic one. That's why I told you.
What's going on with me? Anyway, we have our guest today. It is Drew Ivery. He is the voice of the Dakota Wesleyan Tigers in Mitchell, South Dakota. A longtime Twitter friend of mine. I've never met him in person, but we've been Twitter friends for almost a decade now, which is crazy. And fun fact, he was the third guest ever on The Dime way back in the day. So everybody, please give a round of applause for Drew Ivery. Drew.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Third guest means we're old at this point because the Dime has been going on for a while. Third guest is way back. Dime been rolling for over a handful of years, ladies and gents, but it's good to be back for sure. Long overdue. Glad we got to make this happen, and let's talk some Mavs.
Let's talk some Mavs, and also first I owe you an apology.
Oh, yeah.
Essentially last year, me and Kwab, when we make our picks, we put out a social media asset that says what our picks are.
Oh,
and
yes.
Facts.
I pretty much picked against the Mavs every round except the first round. And every round, Drew would literally message me and be like, "I'm gonna make you eat those. Like they're gonna make you eat those words." Like, Drew was like talking trash, bro. And like even when they made the finals, when they beat the Timberwolves in the finals, I had the Timberwolves. Drew was like, he wasn't like gracious. He wasn't like, "It's okay, man." He was like, "Nah, man, this is what you get. You should have known."
Hey, I tried to tell you, man. I mean, it's typical, for a Knicks fan to do this to me, It's all right, boy. Though. You got your punishment. We ate our words. We ate a little bit of crow, and I guess your revenge was us losing in the finals. So you get some type of pleasantry out of this.
Yeah, but you made the finals. It's like, come on, and you were underdogs too. It wasn't like you were supposed to win that finals. You could have. It wasn't like you were supposed to. So listen, apologies to the Mavericks. Apologies to the Mavericks fans who watch the show and who are about to watch this episode. I did not believe last year. I didn't. And I think that's a good place to start. Were you, be honest, were you surprised at the finals run? Did that catch you off guard at all?
Yes, to make it all the way there a little bit, but I had faith once we got rolling. Once we confidently got through the Thunder, I was worried about the Timberwolves a bit. They didn't give us the punch that I thought they were going to. So once we cruised through them in 5, I was like, once the first few games happened, I was like, okay, yeah, finals, that's happening. Okay, yeah, Anthony Edwards, all this hype, that's cool and all. But the Dallas Mavericks are here this year. We're here. I don't know if we're going to win it, but we're here and we're going there. Okay?
I stayed quiet while you were apologizing because I kind of had the same picks Josh had.
Oh, man, you're lucky I didn't know you yet. I'd have been up there. Kwab, don't do that Josh thing.
I was in the background just nodding my head like, yeah, picked against the Mets. But okay, during the finals, what did you feel like the team was lacking that they essentially fell short of a championship?
Mostly experience. Just coming in with some guys that were kind of raw in the playoffs in general. PJ, Gafford, like they played well, but like the finals, none of those guys thought when they came to the Mavericks were they going to be in the finals. So I mean, I bet it was kind of a shock to them initially, and like we just weren't playing the same ball that we were playing throughout the entire playoffs. We didn't get enough Kyrie. Kyrie, was talking the trash, when he was at the Celtics games, holding up the 5, wait till game 5 or whatever. And, didn't show up as much as we needed him to. We needed 2016 Kyrie that was showing out in the finals, hit the shot to help, the Cavs win it, things like that. We didn't get that Kyrie. Even throughout the playoffs, we had a little bit of inconsistent moments. But, that not getting the full Kyrie, lack of experience, were the main things for me and what Dallas was doing. And they always need a little bit better defense. Mavs have always been able to score the ball. We got a little bit better defensively this year, but I mean, we still weren't in the upper echelons of the defense of the NBA. So I feel like, we had some tired legs come the finals. We had a hard road to get there. We had top seeds on the way there, had to knock down the 4, the 1, and the 3, and then we had to face another 1. So, I mean, the road was tough. I think the guys were tired and, tired legs, lacking confidence a little bit. That combination, plus you're not getting the Kyrie of old or the Kyrie that you expect to see. It's hard to win that way, no matter how much Luka's doing. And he was hurt a little bit, hampered.
Yeah, you mentioned PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. What was it about them that pretty much ignited this run? I mean, the Mavericks didn't become the Mavericks of last year until those trades were made.
Man, I think it is so funny because we just talked about confidence, but I think they were confident when they got here. They got the chance.
Yeah.
They were on losing teams, the perennial losing teams, not just teams that like barely miss playoffs, teams that don't sniff the playoffs. The
Yeah.
Wizards, the Hornets,
Ugh.
they were not used to winning like that. And when you get to play with players like Luka and Kyrie, that boosts your confidence immediately. And once things
Mm.
click internally in the locker room and in Dallas, they were beloved in Dallas. Like you've seen how much activity PJ Washington's had.
Yeah.
He's getting all types of attention there. Gafford went on his field goal streak, 33 straight, almost got Wilt's record. He was really filling it out there as well and protecting the rim. Those guys were just, we needed big bodies. We had linked before when we had RJ or Reggie and DSJ or DFS, excuse me. DFS, and we had those wing guys, but we needed the rim protection. We needed more size and guys that could stretch the floor. PJ had the size and he could stretch the floor for us, and we needed that protection around the rim that Gafford brought all the time. And that efficiency early, I mean, he was efficient most of the year, but that streak was just, I mean, it was incredible to see. And you could see the way that they were playing, they were very confident at the time. And, through time, once the finals came, I guess it was just a shock at the time, but what they brought on the court from, their physicality perspective and what they could bring in their versatility on the court for us, it was so needed.
Were you surprised with because I know a lot of people mentioned this, they were surprised how consistent PJ played, especially during the Thunder series. He was the X factor for you guys to win that series.
I want to say no, because we've always seen flashes in PJ, but the chance was never there. He didn't always get to play with a guy that would facilitate the ball with him like that because LaMelo was hurt often, so he had those phases with him with Charlotte. But when you get Luka all the time, no matter if he's got a bum knee, a bum ankle, he's still doing his thing all the time, and that just ignites a guy like PJ who can do things defensively and gets confident beyond the 3-point line. What he brought was something that we needed all year long.
All right, speaking of what you need all year long, you add Klay Thompson to the roster right now. Klay, I'm not saying he's washed. I'm not saying he's washed.
Actually, are you worried? You be eating some more words, buddy. We don't need more words.
Are you worried he might be washed? Are you worried?
I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I think he can have rejuvenation. New change of scenery. He's been putting in a lot of work this offseason. He has heard the talk. And, Klay's one of those people. He's going to put that stuff in his pocket. Maybe he'll throw some jabs when he gets some press conferences once the season goes. But he's going to put in the work, and he wants to be old Klay really bad. And I think this rejuvenation in the gym and all the work that he's putting in, especially with the scoring threats that he's going to be sitting beside, it's going to be a la, 16, 17, 17, 18 Klay Thompson, because he's got those type of scoring threats. He had Steph and KD back then. He's got Kyrie and Luka now. Klay's got all the room in the world to score the basketball now. I mean, and he wasn't shooting terribly either. So let me backpack and go to these Klay Thompson numbers here. He was only a few percentage points short of his career average, shooting 38 last year, which obviously that's not something he's super excited about. He obviously wants to play a bit better. And his points were only off by a couple. The field goal percentage only off by a couple. So, I mean, he's not far off from where he is. He had some ugly spells, and, he probably didn't feel like Klay, but he's not far off from getting back to what he was, I don't think. And especially when the pressure's off of you offensively like that, which it will be off as long as, Kyrie, which I believe he broke his hand in the offseason or fractured, comes back healthy and be able to help us for the entirety of a season once again, and we can make some type of run. Klay's going to be free. And we've got threats on the inside as well. Maybe not like big guys that you have to worry about all the time, like a Jokic or anything like that. But we've got guys that can score all the way around. We've got guys that are going to be able to come off the bench and score as well. So Klay is going to be able to shoot freely and be able to be as free as possible this year. I think that he's going to use this year itself to show the entire league and the fans who think so, maybe Josh, that he is not washed.
The addition of Klay, do you feel like the Mavs will kind of tweak the offense a little bit, just because Klay's coming from a system where it was more movement, and the Mavs not really predicated on that? So how do you feel like there'll be, I guess, slight tweaks in order to help him grow in that offense?
I think they're going to make those slight tweaks, those same things that had to work in 17 and 18, when they added Kevin Durant, that extra scoring threat. Gonna get more movement with the basketball. I'm not gonna say it's Spurs like or anything. Don't get excited, Spurs fans, that I'm talking about you. Calm down. But I mean, it's gonna have to happen because Klay's gonna be moving a lot. Kyrie's gonna be moving a lot. We have to do things that work for Klay. We can't just bring Klay in and have him completely out of his comfort zone. We have to do things that help Klay. Not totally change the offense because obviously we made the finals. We want to make the finals again, but just make some minor tweaks so he fits in seamlessly because he's going to be at Derrick Jones Jr.'s position, but he can be better than Derrick Jones, especially when he proves he's not washed and gets back to those old Klay ways. Then it's going to be easy to fit him in. Just make those minor tweaks and get some extra ball movement in, get him moving around, get him to his spots, and not force him to be in the corner like Derrick Jones Jr. like to live.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, and I think Kwab as well, I think Naji Marshall was more of like the Derrick Jones Jr. replacement. Do you see it that way, or do you see him getting maybe less minutes than what Derrick Jones got?
I see him getting less minutes just because of how guard heavy we're going to kind of be next year with the addition of Spencer Dinwiddie kind of coming back, and we expect Grimes to give us something as well. Hopefully, because especially we need his defense around the perimeter and things like that. So I'm not sure exactly where Naji Marshall is going to fit in yet. Like he's got good size, he's not far off. I think he's a little better 3-point shooter at least last year than Derrick Jones Jr. is. And when we could use that, especially with his good size in there as well, I'm just not sure where he's going to be rotation-wise because we got about 11 or 12 guys that, deserve, minutes out there. And, so I guess that one just kind of remains to be seen. He won't be starting, obviously, like Derrick Jones Jr. was. Klay will be right there. But his bench role, I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be yet until we get rolling. Depends on how much we use the guards, Dinwiddie and Grimes.
You mentioned Derrick Jones Jr. also. Like, how much you think you guys are gonna miss him and like Josh Green, who also had like an impact here and there during the playoffs,
and Tim Hardaway Jr.
I'm not gonna miss Tim. I'm not gonna miss Tim.
I wasn't gonna bring it up. It's a very sore subject in Mavs Twitter. I always see. Like, I wasn't gonna bring up Timmy.
Yeah, I won't be missing Tim any bit. No. And Josh Green and Derrick Jones Jr., they'll be missed. They were very athletic. They were willing to play defense for us, and they can knock down threes as well. Derrick Jones Jr.'s athleticism is something that you just can't replace. He's just a freak of nature out there. He often caught lobs from Luka. Klay's not going to be rolling around doing any of that. We'll take the threes in place, though, and he doesn't have to stay in the corner. But Derrick Jones Jr., he'll be missed. His energy was great. Josh Green, he was finally coming into his own. He was coming into his consistency, I would say, because we didn't always get that from Josh. You could always count on a couple of 1 or 2 3-pointers from him, whether they were at the end of a game when you really needed it or at, the early parts just to keep the flow of the offense going. And, Josh always played hard on defense, just like Derrick Jones Jr., Jen. Tim Hardaway Jr., sorry, buddy. I won't miss you. You shot a lot of threes. You scored a lot of threes as a Maverick. You were one big microwave that had some faulty wiring. I can't get with him. I hope he, has success wherever he goes on from now on. But I think we got used to life without Tim Hardaway Jr. last year. The times we forced him in, they hurt us almost every time.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much a pattern at the end of the season that whenever Tim Hardaway was in the game, the Mavs would get blown. Listen, you made the finals. It's fine. It's fine.
It's just an endless barrage of, I got to get in there and shoot, even if it doesn't fit to what we're doing right now. And I'm just in here pulling all my hair out, just like, sit down, Tim. I don't care how good your beard looks. I don't care how many threes you have made as a Maverick. Stop
it. Now, the guy you traded Tim Hardaway Jr. for is Quentin Grimes, who is a fan favorite out in New York. And by fan favorite, I mean, he was my favorite. I don't know if he was anyone else's favorite. But he was my favorite Knick when he was a Knick. And now he's on the Mavericks. How do you see him fitting into his rotation? Does he crack the rotation? How many minutes does he get? What's his role? Did you like the pickup? All that.
I like the addition of Grimes. I'm interested to see how much we utilize him, though. I don't see him being like an above 25 minutes guy, like an immediate 6-man maybe. It just depends on how they feel about Spencer bringing him back and how they want to use him off of the bench. I know we're going to talk about him as well a little bit more. But Quentin Grimes, he can bring both sides of the ball. We need that 3-and-D threat that he has. He has the ability to score inside and out. He'll be more utilized for defense, though. I will tell you that. We could, that extra scoring off the bench will be vital. but we have a lot of guards that we're going to try and mix in. We got Jaden Hardy, the project that we're trying to throw in and keep him going. We don't want him to be just a Josh Green that doesn't get it until, 4 or 5 years into the league. We want him to go ahead and get it now so he can help us right now. And that all those things kind of culminate to where, we just got to see where they want to fit Quentin Grimes in. I say probably like a consistent 15 to 20 all the time if he's in the rotation, which I expect him to be, because like I said, we need the defense. He's probably our best perimeter defender right now, aside from Klay Thompson, who will do some work out there. But we need the defense out there. I mean, defense has been a problem for the Mavs, for years and years. I mean, we were good enough last year to make the finals, but we need to get better. We need to get better. We need to be in the upper third of the NBA to really kind of take things on like that. But Grimes, I like him as a player as well. I mean, he really grew last year as well. I mean, I can see why he's a favorite for you. I mean, especially for Knicks fans in general. He was a great ball of energy. Do what you needed him to, no matter the minutes. You go out there and grind hard, get you a three, get you a steal, get you defense, whatever you need from him. He'll go out there and do it. He's that type of guy, and I think he's going to be well liked in Dallas as well. And but I see about 15 to 20 minutes. If his role is expanded, I won't be mad at it. As long as it continues to work. If they force him to, above 20 going into 25 minutes and we're not winning games, then maybe we need to try something else. But I think he'll work in that range of 15 to 20 minutes all year.
As you mentioned, you guys also added Spence, former Net, former Mav, former Net, former Laker. What are your feelings of him returning? I know he played well for you guys when he was there, so your reaction doesn't seem very.
I got mixed feelings. About Spencer, man. I don't know. It's definitely not the same team that he was on when he was here. I almost feel like he's going to go through what Seth Curry went through in a way, depending on our confidence in Quentin Grimes. What he's been doing in the offseason for us and how they see him fitting into everything here and how they plan to use Hardy. But Spencer Dinwiddie, he's kind of a volume guy too, but he can't give you as many threes as you want him to. It's we don't really need the mid-range games. We got Kyrie for, and Klay can handle that a bit too when he wants to step in. But Spencer, he doesn't give you much defense. He didn't do a lot with the Lakers last year. He wasn't really a factor when he was part of the rotation, which he was only sometimes part of the rotation. So I'm kind of scared if we use Spencer too much. I really am. I don't want to see Spencer over 20 minutes all the time like that. Unless he's just super effective, you can't not play him. I'm not sure what we're gonna get. I'm really not. So bringing him back was kind of surprising to me. Considering the guys we wanted to bring in and kind of utilize like Grimes and keep utilizing Hardy and players like that, and our young guys who we have that we could use who aren't two-way players anymore, but. I'm not sure we're going to get. I hope it's nothing bad. I hope he doesn't try to do too much, but I hope we manage what we do with Spencer well, or he's here, or he's going to end up doing. And I'm not saying Curry did this when he was here, but just the aspect of bringing him in, letting him go, bringing him in, letting him go. Yeah. I feel like that might be the cycle that Spencer encounters if he isn't more effective and efficient this time.
All right, now looking forward to this actual season. Obviously, everything runs through Luka. This is Luka's team. How much do you think, though, that narrative of Luka being a defensive liability and him having the worst defensive finals everyone has ever seen last year, how much do you think that's a narrative? How much do you think it's overblown? Is it overblown? Do you think Luka needs to step it up on the defensive end? What's going on there?
I think it's a little bit overblown, but I understand the concern. I feel like it was more of a concern a few years ago in the earlier parts of his career, but he's shown that he can keep up defensively, but he ends up having bumps and bruises constantly throughout the season. So he's never, his full self all the time. I see, right now, Luka looks probably as slim as he's ever been coming into the season right now, which is outstanding for us. But I feel like part of it goes to injuries. I'm not going to try and make excuses for him, but he is constantly a little bit banged up. I understand, stars get hurt and things like that. But, when you're almost semi-regularly on the injury report, you got a banged up knee or you got a bum ankle, you got hit in the face, whatever. He's not going to be able to give you 100 and 100 because we always need his offense. But I feel like we can make up for his defense. And I feel like that's when he's getting banged up like that, he allows his teammates to make up for his defensive woes, which they're nowhere near as bad as he's been before. I don't care what anybody says. If you've been watching any Mavs basketball, He is not a complete liability. Yes, when the finals came around, it was not the greatest defense. Like I said, tired legs earlier. I believe Luka was tired. Like, he still got his things done on offense, but that defense.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad, man. It was bad.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was bad.
So I understand why people brought it back up again, but I think it's a little bit overblown at this point. Like, calm down on him. You see the outstanding defensive plays and the effort he gives when he does it. Like, what is that same reel that keeps going around where Luka's diving on the floor, throws that behind his back as he's sliding across and gets it up? We got the transition play. I mean, that's the effort he can give you when he's mostly himself. Like, you can see that he makes those efforts. He's always consistently in the passing lanes, getting steals, being as effective as he can using his length. He's got to wait. He's still got some work to do. I'm not gonna, just coddle him or anything like that. He's got work to do still. But when he gives you as much offense as he gives you, I feel like you can give him a little bit of a break. He'll get there. He'll get there, guys. Like, he's not gonna be a LeBron. He's not, the ADs or anything like that. They can just be completely dominant on both ends of the floor. Like, it was never his game, defense. He was never, known as a defender. So it's something that he has to work towards.
I think it was more of an effort thing. I think a lot of people were just chalking up to him being lazy or just not wanting it, which I think the not wanting it narrative is so stupid. I mean, these guys work their asses off all year.
Right, man.
But I also think, maybe he was just tired or maybe just out of shape or something like that. So
yeah,
to me, that's how I took it.
Yeah, you can definitely say the out of shape because I mean we've seen Luka. I'm trying to find a word that's not like just bashing a man, but we've seen him gain pounds during the season, man. So I mean, he's had his lazy moments. He's had his I don't want to work out as hard as I probably could here moments, and you can tell. I mean, and you see when those moments happen. As long as they're not all the time anymore, and he's really making efforts that you can see consistently, I feel like just let him work through whatever defensive woes he has because he's gonna get it sooner or later.
He got to cut out the beer, but
and Michael Finley's gonna take care of that. He took his beer.
Yeah. That was a great clip. But besides the defensive concerns, is there anything else about his game you want to see him like change or improve on throughout the course of this season?
Well, that's a part of what the Mavs are going to have to do to incorporate Klay properly. It's that ball movement that I was talking about. Luka gets all the assists. He can find his guys like that. But I feel like maybe the ball needs to be in his hands a little bit less. Just because we need those other guys to thrive. We're not going to be able to get guys like Jaden Hardy to be able to grow without being able to get him the ball more. I mean, and Luka, he's so ball dominant. And while it's really great for the Mavs often, and he does his thing, triple doubles, top of the MVP race and things like that, things have to get flowing. It doesn't always have to flow through him. Kyrie can bring it up. Let Jaden bring it up. Let Quentin bring it up. Spencer can bring it up, I guess. But let other people do more things. He doesn't have to do everything offensively. And once he backs off a little bit in that department, share the offensive point guard duties and you kind of distributing things, he'll be able to have that energy on defense. He'll probably get injured less because he's not going attacking the rim and getting knocked down or getting bumped up or whatever. I think all those things will go hand in hand and just make the Mavs better overall and make Luka better. I mean, it was the highest finish in his MVP race that he's had in his career so far. In the past, it was due to those injuries. And I think once those transitions happen for him and the Mavs overall, including him, will have success even more so and will win a final. Hey, Josh.
I'm not saying a word.
Long overdue. We touched the finals. Remember what happened? We went to the finals 2006.
Yeah.
Next time we got there, we won that thing. That's the attitude this time. I'm not going to say it's going to happen next year.
And for the record, I had the Mavericks beating the Heat that year.
Okay.
That they won it. One of the few people who had that. So I'm very proud of myself for that. You mentioned Kyrie with Luka. Now, I guess my question to you is, if you were Jason Kidd, how would you work that duo? I mean, you mentioned maybe Luka needs to come off the ball a little bit, but does that mean the ball goes in Kyrie's hands? Is there another way to work that dynamic that you think J Kidd's just not working right now?
I don't know. It's kind of a tough thing to manage. With two dynamic guards like that, I bet he's doing the best he can because I know, and he was a dynamic superstar guard like that himself before. I mean, he wasn't the shooter that these two are. More so a facilitator than anything else and a defender. But, I think, first full year, let me try this. How did this work? We made it to the finals. Maybe some small tweaks. And I'm not sure what those tweaks are. I don't have the answers. for this situation. Because, I mean, last year they were known as the best backcourt in the NBA. So, I mean, how do you get much better than that? I guess you got to win a championship. But, I mean, it's hard to manage it with these guys. Luka's, more of the sharing, distributing type, get everybody involved. And Kyrie, he's getting there. We saw him get a lot more, 5 and plus assist games, really distributing himself. That kind of cost his offensive game a little bit in the scoring department. We saw some single digit, scoring times in the playoffs. And I was like, what are you doing? I don't want that. I'd rather you score.
Yeah.
Okay. But, that's one of those tough dynamics. You tweak it too much, you maybe mess up what they're doing. So you just got to be real diligent about what you change, if you're going to change anything and how they do things. I don't mind seeing more Kyrie bring the ball up and Luka off ball. That's not bad at all. Luka and Kyrie trying to get open. They're the guy, or Luka and Klay getting open. They're the ones who shoot the most threes anyway. So maybe that's what we see. Kyrie bring the ball up and Luka off ball more. And that's the dynamic we see, getting the ball out of Luka's hands more. I don't think you'll see Klay bring it up near as much, but when you got a dynamic duo like that, you gotta work with them as well. And it's not just executive decisions as a coach, but like, Kyrie, what do you think? Luka, what do you think? Guys, what do you think about what we're gonna do with you both? Does this work? And as long as they have that continuity between the three of them, I think, whatever they want to change or whatever they want to alter will work.
I think the answer would be Kyrie needs to stay away from Boston at all costs.
Just bring earplugs when the fans get to talking to you, man. Like, I know he wants to shut them up, and boy, Boston fans talk a whole lot, and they don't say the nicest things.
No,
they say quite colorful things.
Yeah. You hear that, Boston? Nah,
No,
I hate
we're not going to get on the Boston train.
Yeah.
Another important factor of the team last year was your rookie Derrick Lively.
Yes.
What was your overall grade for him from the whole course of the season last year?
I would say a very solid B+. Very solid B+. I love Derrick Lively, as he's one of my Duke boys. I've been a Duke fan ever since Kyrie was there. Kyrie made me a Duke fan. So, I mean, that's trickled all the way into the Lively years. He was excellent. Obviously, he thrived a little bit more coming off the bench early, letting Gafford do the early work. And we won with that combination of Gafford starting and Lively off the bench. He's been trying to work on, expanding his game as well, which I don't mind that. And I don't necessarily know that we'll need it too much, but if we're going to back away from guys like Maxey a little bit, it'll be convenient for him to be able to stretch out and shoot that three. But I love the way Lively played for us last year. Plenty of energy, a lot of rim rocking. He protects it as well. He can be a dynamic player in this league. I know we kind of had him reduced to a role last year, which is totally fine for me for a rookie to not have him do too much. I think he did just enough. Maybe a little bit more scoring per game, maybe more opportunities, but we were winning. So, I mean, I wasn't mad with, how he was being utilized at all. I think he's found his niche, and especially, after the loss of his mother, I think he's just going to go hard to improve his game and just show the world and, do things for his mom for the rest of his life, and just become the best version of himself. I know that there's some things within the young fella that we got to fix, but that's why he gets a solid B+. He's not in the A range yet, but he was excellent for us. He fit right in, didn't do too much, didn't do too little, and he'll continue to expand his role as the years go on with us. Hopefully he stays a Maverick.
When you say expand the role, do you think he's going to venture out of the paint? I mean, he's more like a lob threat, interior threat now. I'm not saying every big man has to extend. I mean, he's basically Tyson Chandler at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what he feels like a different version of Tyson Chandler. But do you think he has the ability to extend? Do you think that there are other ways that they can incorporate the offense? And is he just like an interior lob threat?
I think he's primarily the interior guy, but I know he has the ability to expand out. I guess, I mean, this is one of those things we're gonna have to see once the season gets going, because everybody can make it, at the rec leagues or whatever, hit those threes, or when somebody's got the camera on in Mavs practice, make those corner threes or whatever. But if they translate to the game just fine, I don't mind him stepping out and shooting 2 or 3 threes a game or something like that. Not high volume and 5+ or anything like that, but shoot a couple, see how it goes. If you're making more often than not, I don't mind you continuing to do that. But if it's not working, maybe get back to what you were best at. Once that gets better, once you work on it in the gym, then get back to it. But, just kind of do an extended version of what you did last year. Don't do too much. Don't do too little. We can try that. Yeah. And we know you have the ability to expand. But, I mean, if we don't need it, then we don't need it. Because we're getting Klay. We got Naji Marshall who can shoot the three as well. Grimes can shoot it. Spencer a little bit. so we don't necessarily have to have it. But if we're going to reduce roles, and not play a guy like Maxi Kleber who's going to shoot that three outside like that, it's not a bad thing to have Lively have that ability to be able to step out there. Then maybe we have twin towers inside. Maybe we have combos of Lively and Gafford playing at the same time.
That'd be interesting.
That would
I
be
don't know how that
interesting.
would. The spacing would be a little wild. Though.
I know it would be kind of nasty, but
Yeah.
if he can expand, I won't be mad at it. I won't be mad at it for sure. It's definitely something he's been working on in this offseason.
Speaking about his offseason, he keeps popping up in interviews and stuff. Just just saying kind of some. Do you attribute that to just him being young and just just being a kid? At the end of the day, he's still a young kid. You know what I mean? Do you just attribute that being a factor of that?
I would say yes. I started not listening to those. I started putting those on mute every time a little Lively video would come up. Like, I don't know what he's about to say, but I don't think I want to listen to this right now. I'm sure it'll go viral or something here a bit later. But yeah, I attribute that to the youth right now. Young guys talk a whole lot, especially when the noise comes to your team. You shouldn't have made the finals. You nearly get swept in the finals, blah, 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 this. You're only a rim rocker, things like that, He's going to say a whole lot of things. He's not a Draymond Green or anybody like that. He bark a little bit, but I think it really is just the youth. I mean, he's a young guy. He can't even buy himself a beer at the bar yet. So I mean, those are the guys that probably talk a little bit more trash than anybody. Just super confident guy coming from Duke, first year in the NBA. You made the NBA Finals. I mean, probably got a little bit of ego in the back of his mind too. So I think he'll grow out of that gradually.
All right, who is the one player on the roster that you think can have a big impact that nobody's talking about?
Oh, nobody's talking about? I don't know about nobody's talking about, but I've got the guy. I mentioned his name a few times, Jaden Hardy. Jaden Hardy, I need to see who Jaden Hardy can be this year. Or I think he's just going to end up being another Josh Green, a guy that we want to be a certain somebody and expand what he can do for us on the floor. Or just, be a 3-and-D, use you semi-often, semi in the rotation, semi not. He's got to do it now. He's got to do it now, too. And we've seen his flashes and things like that, but I'm tired of flashes. I want to watch a TV show. I want to watch the Jaden Hardy show. He has the ability to be a six-man for us, and we don't have to worry about, his microwaveness or anything. He's not Tim Hardaway Jr. He can be a better version of that. He gives you effort defensively. He's not a star defender or anything like that, but he has that. When he's out there and he's confident, he is a confident guy. He's a guy to worry about when he gets going. But, that's who I want to see get utilized more. That's who I want to see firmly fit in our rotation and be somebody to talk about all year long. A Jaden Hardy game every now and then. Give us 23 one night. Luka's struggling, give us 23. Klay can't get a basket, give us 25. Whatever. Do something offensively that constantly helps out this team. We don't expect you to get 4 steals a game. We don't expect you to get 2 blocks a game. We don't expect you to lock down the team's best offensive player. We expect you to be Jaden Hardy. And that's a guy that goes out there firmly confident in his game, goes get a bucket at anywhere on the floor, all 3 levels, and do it all the time. And, with the guard battle we're going to have off the bench, that's where he's going to have to shine in the offseason before this season starts. He's got a little bit of time to put it together and show that he's ready now. He's had some years to get into it. He's had the run through the playoffs with us where he was mixed in a little bit. But, you got to secure that spot now or show us now, or you're just going to be kind of on the back burner like Josh was a little bit and reduced to a minimal role. And I think Jaden Hardy is much more than that.
Is there a player or I guess a target you want the Mavs to maybe trade for? Or do you think this is the team for now moving forward?
LeBron James.
Is there a realistic player? Kevin Durant.
Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. all these would probably take
and we give up nobody for them.
And nobody.
The Nico prowess under the table. Come here, Nikola. Get over here. You want to be a Nike guy too? Oh, I'm done with that. Man, a specific target. LeBron James? No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay not to have one. I know it's kind of early in the season.
Right? Yeah, I don't think I have one right now. But it probably wouldn't take long during the season, maybe a month or less, to figure out a guy that might fit with us, especially depending on
Yeah.
how we're doing. If we're floating around 500 or below or something like that, obviously a change needs to be made, like who's thriving somewhere else, who's not being utilized like they should be, that would automatically fit into what we're doing. Right now, I think the only thing that we need is a consistent defensive wing. And
Mm.
if Klay can pick that up again to be at his old self, then we probably don't need much. I mean, we've got all the pieces. We got scoring off the bench. We've got our rim protection off the bench, whether it's Lively or Gafford. We've got the starting rim protection. We've got big guys who can expand. We've got big guys who can play defense. We got the scoring. And, we have the ability to pass the ball, whether it's Luka, Kyrie, or anybody like that distributes. Maybe – I don't want to say maybe another better passer off the bench, because I feel like we got a lot of scoring there. But, I mean, other than another distributor off the bench, that who knows if they would even factor into minutes if they can't play defense as well. But right now,
Yeah.
I don't have anybody specific. I mean, Nikola Jokic, if you want to leave the Nuggets and come on over here, whatever you got to do, talk to Nico.
I mean, Luka, if he's gonna join forces with anybody, Luka might be the guy.
Yeah.
But let's not go down that rabbit hole. I don't want to go down. That's just a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. Before I get your season prediction, I do want to play for real or Fugazi with you,
I like games.
where I do name a Western Conference team that could be threats to the Dallas Mavericks to knock them off in the playoffs. If they are threats, they are for real. If they aren't threats, they are Fugazi. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. First team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, for real or Fugazi?
For real. They've got enough to do it. Even though we beat them last year, I think they've got enough to do it. Not that I'm saying that they will, but I think they've got enough tools and enough players and enough, stars and defense to do it. They just didn't last year, and I hope they don't again.
All right, for real or Fugazi, the Los Angeles Lakers?
I want to say for real, but until I see it, I'm saying Fugazi. I'm saying Fugazi until I see it. I mean, they've got the two pillars in AD and LeBron. That's always something to worry about. But I think the Mavericks always, this year, last year, the years to come, have the ability to beat these Lakers all the time. And we just have enough to combat what they have. Unless they just, add another piece, or, when they step out there this year, they're a totally different Laker team. I'm not as worried about them.
All right. For real or Fugazi, the Minnesota Timberwolves?
For real, I think they're mad. I think Minnie is mad. And every time they see us, they're going to gun to beat us down, because we took them out in 5. And they
5, though? You guys took him out in 5.
5. I had that going 7.
I mean, if you would have told me the Mavs had won this series, but wow, okay. But to win in 5, especially after the way they did the Nuggets, I shout out to y'all. I owe you a million apologies.
Honestly,
5. But yes, they're for real.
If that was anything I was surprised with, it was that right there. To beat them in 5, I thought they were going to be a really tough test. Like, for real, like going to 7, like last 2 minutes of the game, it's getting decided type stuff. But it was not that at all. So I'm going to say they're for real, because I know they for real want some revenge against us. Minnesota fans got Dallas marked on the schedule.
Yes, they do. All right. For real or Fugazi, the Golden State Warriors?
Fugazi! Fugazi. They are not the Warriors of old, and they never will be. Steph is always a problem. Draymond's going to get a couple of technicals, probably get kicked out of the game. I'm not worried about the Warriors at all.
All right. Moving on. For real or Fugazi, the Sacramento Kings?
Fugazi. They went from being a top 4 team to in-season tournament. I don't know if they know who they are.
DeMar DeRozan doesn't do anything for you?
DeMar DeRozan doesn't do enough for me. He doesn't do enough for me. He didn't do enough for Chicago with all that they had. He didn't do enough for me with Sacramento. Maybe it helps them not be as inconsistent, go from like a 4 seed to an in-season tournament team. I don't know. But right now, until I see it, Fugazi.
All right. The Denver Nuggets, for real or Fugazi?
For real. For real, especially if Jamal is healthy. Okay. Those guys are a problem. Obviously, they didn't go back-to-back last year, and, we didn't even get to play them in the playoffs, but the Nuggets are a problem. I mean, they have Jokic. Yeah. That's always a problem. You can see wherever Jokic is now, he's one of those players, no matter how stacked his team is, especially if he's got a healthy Jamal Murray and a defensive monster and, athletic freak like Aaron Gordon, the Nuggets will always be everybody's problem. So, for real.
All right, last but not least, the Phoenix Suns, for real or Fugazi?
I'm feeling a little Fugazi here.
All
I'm
right.
feeling a little Fugazi. I would like to say it for real, but they've just been
Can't get it together.
so up and exactly. I mean, that's the perfect way to say it. They can't get it together. They have the star power out there that could lead them to be something, but they've had coaching issues. They've had player changes. It's just everything under the sun for Phoenix.
Hey.
And they just can't. Once they get it together, then they'll be for real. But as of right now, I think they're pretty fugazi until they prove all of us otherwise.
All right, and finally, let me get your season prediction for the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, they make the play. I actually shouldn't say obviously. You never know these days. But what do you think?
Won 50 games last year.
Yeah.
I think it's another 50-win season.
Okay.
Am I giving a playoff seeding too?
Yeah, why not? Everything.
Okay.
The works.
He said everything.
Okay. I think we win 55 games.
Okay.
And we're a 3 seed.
Okay.
And I don't say a 4 seed, a 5 seed, a 7 seed, 8 seed, because those guys haven't won the NBA Finals. And I need teams that have a chance. I mean, we were there last year, but no 5 seed has ever won the NBA Finals. So I believe in the superstitiousness. And I want to be a top 3 seed. I want us to be there. I want us to figure the things out that we haven't had figured out, especially on the defensive side. We haven't been the top tier defensive team. I think we're going to figure things out and at least be a fringe top third of the league defensive team. Not saying we're a top 5, but borderline top 10 is what we need. And I think 55 wins and a 3 seed.
All right, everybody give it up for Drew Ivery. Drew, thanks for coming on the dime. Thank you. Let everybody know where they can follow you on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, wherever you're at now.
Look at him shouting out Threads. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, we've been talking on Threads, man.
Right?
It's an interesting spot. I'm getting used to it still.
Yeah. You guys can follow me primarily on Instagram and Threads now. I don't use Twitter near as much. Mainly it was last year. I was just so busy I didn't get on as much, and my algorithm kind of fell off pretty bad. But now, I'm deep into Instagram and Threads. It's Uncle Drew _. So just give me a follow over there. I'm over there talking all things NBA. I still talk W. A little bit of wrestling over there on Threads as well. But all things mostly on Threads now. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to. Maybe I'll be there, maybe I won't. But it's Uncle Drew everywhere.
All right. If you want to follow the Dime, you can on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, YouTube at the Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He is Kwab at Kwab, aka Yes. We'll see you next time for another episode of the Dime